Hi everyone, welcome to our session. Sorry for the late start, we had a few technical difficulties getting started, but we're ready to go now. Thank you for all coming here. Just before we get started, I wanted to get an idea of who's in the room. How many of you are affiliates? And how many of you are merchants? And I see we have a few OPMs in the room too, so mostly an affiliate crowd. Cool. So let me just introduce myself, and then I'll go ahead and let Joe and Kim introduce themselves too. So our session today is called Is Bigger Always Better? And Joe was actually the person who pitched this idea to Kim and I because we were talking a lot about how the landscape has changed in affiliate marketing over the last 10 years. When we all got started, all of us I think up here at this table got started about 10 years ago, and we've seen a lot of evolution in the marketplace. We've seen a lot of consolidation. We've seen some large sites that have come in and really dominated certain traffic sources. And so we wanted to talk a little bit about how small affiliates and niche affiliates can thrive in an ever-changing environment that's become increasingly difficult in some ways to succeed. So I'm Jeremy Palmer. I'm the CMO at couponpal.com. I formerly was with quityourdayjob.com. And I've been, like I said, in affiliate marketing for 10 years. I've done mostly niche affiliate sites, driving traffic through search and paid search. And at CouponPal, as Chief Marketing Officer, I'm responsible for doing business development and managing a large portfolio of campaigns. So I have kind of a small as well as a large affiliate mindset. Joe, go ahead and introduce yourself.
I'm Joe. I started out in the industry back in about '98. I was doing SEO for clients and kind of shifted over to an affiliate model in about 2001, 2002, when a couple of our SEO clients went away and they left their sites with us. So we had these sites that were generating traffic, and I decided, let's put affiliate links on them. And I was a full-time affiliate, mostly building just smaller niche sites, a lot of data feed-based sites. I did some paid search in there too. And about a year and a half ago, just due to some algorithm changes in Google and me being stupid, and we'll get to some of that later, and making a lot of mistakes, most of my revenue went away. So I had to kind of shift gears, and I'm now working with Snow Consulting as an OPM, managing affiliate programs we have about 30 different merchants. I deal with about 10 of them. And but just seeing things from the affiliate side and now from the OPM and merchant side, seeing that there still is a lot of value in the small affiliates. There's a lot of value in just bloggers and smaller data feed sites and that sort of thing. So that's kind of where I'm coming from with this.
Kim?
And I'm Kim Rowley. I started in affiliate marketing in 1998 as just a mere hobby. Realized, oh, this is fun, making websites. And then when I realized I could make money out of it, it was even more fun. I've been working full-time out of my home since 2001 with just affiliate sites. Had a coupon code site way back when I only had 30 competitors compared to the 30,000 competitors there are now. And also due to Google, I've had to switch gears a little bit, and I do a lot of consulting now for some OPMs, also some larger affiliates, and I still do have my affiliate sites on the site as well.
Cool. So here's some of the things that we're going to be talking about. We're just going to talk about why affiliates have been struggling, particularly small affiliates. And then we also want to talk about where small affiliates can add value that big affiliates can't. And then whether or not it's even possible to still make a full-time living as an affiliate marketer and what you need to do to ramp up. And then we'll talk about some advice for smaller affiliates who are struggling. And then we have a special slide about people who are just joining the industry, what to expect, and best practices for getting started. And then we also have some merchant tips. So for those few merchants that are here in the room, we want to give you some advice about how to encourage and cultivate those relationships with those niche affiliates. So Let's first talk about why small affiliates are struggling. I think Joe kind of alluded into this when he was giving his introduction about just kind of search algorithm changes and things like that. So maybe you could just kind of continue on with more detail about what
Sure.
you've experienced.
Like I said, I built a lot of niche sites, a lot of data feeds. So using the data feeds, I didn't have a lot of my original content on the sites. And for years, it worked great. You could throw up a data feed with 1,000 products from a merchant, and traffic would start coming in, and as long as you keep it updated every now and then, it's fine. But as Google started looking more for unique content, more for just quality content, which my sites didn't have, admittedly, that's when things started dropping off. And a lot of the affiliates that were in the space 5 or 10 years ago, like myself, they didn't change. They saw what was working back then, and they didn't make the necessary changes they needed to stay relevant in the industry, to keep their sites fresh, and it just kind of stagnated. And I think that's where a lot of the smaller affiliates are they're in a place like that right now, where there's been a lot of changes in the industry, but they're still kind of stuck in the past, and they haven't looked forward to see what was coming and done what they needed to. And a lot of what we're talking about here, it's mistakes that we've made in the past, and we're hoping you guys learn from our mistakes.
So just like Joe, I've had a large network of sites, and I recently wrote about this in Feedfront magazine, that I used to just focus on launching a large number of sites. So I had a dating site for every state, I had a dating site for every major religion, and for every niche that you can imagine. And it was quite easy to launch these sites because it didn't require a huge effort in terms of developing content. A lot of it was scraped or data-driven content. And the nice thing about this model is that it was very easy to launch a large network of sites. And so even if a particular site lost its ranking or got Google slapped or something like that, it was easy enough to launch a new site. That's no longer the case. In order to launch a site that is going to get any kind of organic traffic today, you have to invest a huge amount of time in content. And this is something that I don't think people are quite ready to do when they jump into affiliate marketing. They don't realize what does it take to create good, compelling content that people are going to link to, that people are going to enjoy reading and sharing through social media sites and so on. And so if there's anything that I can take away from this particular slide, it's like, what are some things that you should avoid doing to prevent your niche affiliate site from failing? Number one, not relying on a single source of traffic like Google for all of your traffic and for all of your revenue. In the past, I've had sites that have had 99 to 100% of their traffic either from paid search or Google search, and just the smallest change to a paid search policy or the smallest change to an algorithm can completely wipe out your revenue. And diversifying is a lot harder than you think, right? Because search traffic is so good. It converts well. We understand where people are in the buying cycle thanks to the keywords that they're using. And so it's easy to become lazy because that traffic converts, and it's relatively easy to launch a paid search campaign and you can start driving traffic to your site right away. But before you even launch a site, you should ask yourself, how am I going to Google-proof my site? What am I going to do to the site that's going to make me resistant to these constant algorithm updates? And be thinking about other traffic channels, whether it's social channels, whether it's building links that you can actually get traffic from the links. There's a large number of good traffic sources out there outside of Google, and we'll be talking about those in a little bit more detail. But before I move on, I wanted to get a little bit more of Kim's perspective on just some of the
next page.
Yeah.
You went over all my stuff.
All right, cool.
I got a couple things on
Yeah,
that one
okay.
too. It's Google making changes. It's not a new thing. If any of you have been in the industry for a long time, back in I think 2003 or 2004, they had their infamous Florida update, where a lot of the old school SEO guys, a lot of their sites took a hard hit, and ever since then they've been making changes, either monthly or yearly. The Panda and Penguin updates were major. So it's nothing new, and they're going to keep doing it. Google, in some ways, they don't like affiliates. I'm pretty convinced of that. And it's not that a small affiliate needs to try to trick them. We just need to find out and realize what they're looking for and give that to them, not give them what we think they want.
Yeah, and I think the other reason that people are struggling too is that it's a much more difficult barrier to entry now. you really have to invest time and content, and in the past people were very ambitious with the types of sites they were going to launch. Like, maybe Joe would do a jersey site across multiple sports and multiple teams, but as time went on he realized that it was nearly impossible to keep fresh content on sites that are so broad in scope and have so many different products. So Joe, you've been developing even team sites, right?
Yeah. One of my major niches was sports merchandise, like jerseys and hats. And if I seem a little grumpy today, it's because the Seahawks lost, and that was a tough loss. But I had a couple sites that just covered like everything. It had 100,000 different products from some of the merchants, and even now, what I'm seeing with my sites is the ones that are more targeted, the ones that are more specific to a certain team, or even a certain product line, like just focusing on hats, even hats for a certain team. Those are the ones that stayed alive. Those are the ones that didn't get killed by Google. And rather than throwing up as many products as you can on a site, or even launching as many sites as you can, I mean, there was times where I had 100 or 200 sites out there that either were completed, or it's an idea that just popped into my head that I went and registered the domain and got halfway done building it and forgot about it. Looking back, it would have been great if I could have just focused on a few sites. Yeah, there's going to be ideas that come now and then where you just want to register something and throw it up and see what happens. But as far as my main focus, it needs to be more specific, more targeted.
Yeah, and I think that duplicate content is also something that people weren't quite ready for. We've all launched data-driven sites before, and before, I think it was probably, well, even before the Panda update, there's always been a duplicate content penalty, but it's become more severe to the point where you really have to go out of your way to make the content unique. And so if I were starting out in the space, and you're thinking about launching a data feed site, consider how you're going to make that content unique on each page and each product listing. For example, at Coupon Pal, we get a coupon feed from a company called For Me to Coupon. And this is the same feed that they distribute to hundreds of other coupon sites. But rather than just publish that feed naked on our site without changing anything, we go in and we have a team of deal loaders that customizes the offer. So they'll change up the headlines, they'll add text, they'll add images, they'll add more supporting content to the page, because we realize that we don't want to just be a one-trick pony in terms of our traffic. We want to cultivate a lot of organic traffic from multiple search engines, and we found that if we take the extra time to really customize something as simple as a coupon, that we're going to be better off long-term than if we just take the feed and just spit it out on the site.
And would you say that Coupon Pal is a big affiliate, though? Because a lot of smaller affiliates can't afford or have the manpower to pay for the different feeds and to automate their stuff.
Right. I think that you bring up a good point there. As a small affiliate, if you're thinking about getting into some kind of a deal feed or a coupon or whatever you're interested in, you have to look at what tools are available on the market that are affordable. A subscription, like Kim mentioned, might be cost prohibitive for some people, but there's other services like Golden Can that offer a percentage of your commissions in order to use their data feed software on your site. There's companies like Pop Shops that also have data feeds, and that's pretty reasonable. It's like $60, $70 a month, and there's a few others that also work on a performance basis. I think, is it Cupilla or? I can't remember, but anyway, there's a lot of resources out there that you can still launch. It's just you have to be smart with your money. You can't if you're launching a new site and you think that you're gonna get this data feed and spend a bunch of money for it and it's gonna solve all your problems, be more cautious. You have to remember that until you actually have some traffic, you don't want to invest a lot of money in tools. You want to build that content and build the traffic before you invest hundreds or even thousands of dollars in some of these tools.
And that becomes a struggle, because in some ways, the tools make it a lot easier to get the traffic, but you can't pay for them until you get the traffic. So that is one struggle that small affiliates face, is they don't have money to pay programmers and designers and people to write complicated API scripts and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Where these big venture-funded companies with $100 million sitting in the bank, they can hire these people, whereas a small affiliate, it becomes tougher to do those things. I always was coming up with ideas of different ways to show I just didn't have the technical ability to do it, but I didn't have the money to hire a programmer to do it either. So that was one of the struggles I faced.
Yeah, and I think that new people will continue to struggle with that because it's hard to be a jack of all trades. It's hard to be able to design, program, write content, understand viral marketing, and all of these other things. And so I can't emphasize enough how important it is for you to just really narrow your focus. Instead of building a jersey site, build a team jersey site. Instead of building a coupon site, build a coupon site for a particular product or service or a very narrow category. And you know, if you do have the resources, if you have the time, if you have the finances, of course you can still do that. But just understand that it's going to be a big investment. So let's talk a little bit about why niche affiliates. You know, I think in some circles, there's probably a bias to focus mostly on big affiliates, right? A lot of merchants want like the quick traffic that a big deal site or rebate site might be able to offer them. And I think that a lot of affiliates that can bring a lot of value are overlooked just because they can't drive volume. And in my opinion, I think that's kind of the wrong way to look at it. I think that there's a huge long tail of affiliates with niche sites out there that simply get ignored because they can only drive 2, 3, 4 sales a month. But if you add all of those affiliates together, that can be a significant part of your program. So we'll talk more about why you want to work with small niche affiliates now. Go ahead, Joe.
Like you said, one of the biggest things is a small affiliate can pick a specific niche and target it. A big site like the Find or ShopWiki or some of those big, huge, giant data feed sites, they aren't going to take the time to build a site out for Seattle Seahawks jerseys or for Denver Bronco jerseys or any of the other teams. They aren't going to take the time and put the effort into picking a state and focusing on dating traffic for that site. That's where the small affiliates are going to come in. And that traffic is very valuable for the merchants. Because, I mean, if they can get 3 or 4 of the top 10 listings on Google with them and their affiliates for these long tail keywords, they're gonna be cornering the market on those. So affiliates really bring value when they can pick a niche and do well in it. And it doesn't, I mean, as an OPM, I would rather have 10 affiliates making $100 a month than one making $1,000. And we'll talk about more why that's important later. But yeah. I want these small merchants. I want niche merchants in my affiliate programs.
You know, and something else that I think really resonates with me is, you know, at Coupon Pal we have 10 plus people, and you know, we are pretty agile as a company that has that many people on board. But if you're a one-man shop or maybe a two-man shop, you can move even faster, right? There's less layers of complexity. So if you have a new opportunity, you're able to seize on it much faster. You know, when we redesign something on the site, you know, there's typically 2 or 3, maybe even half the team or the whole team involved in, like, you know, some of the design decisions and some of the feedback. And you know, I think there's an old metaphor goes something like, if you want to you know, move fast, travel alone. If you want to travel far, work with someone. And so that's kind of, again, the mindset and the different opportunity that you have as a niche or a small affiliate is that you can move faster than some of these larger sites that have, you know, big, you know, considerations with development and you know, multiple teams, you know, to work with.
Well, I'm even thinking, in the terms of the coupon sites, I would say, and I still have my coupon site, it's kind of evolved more to a deal thing, and I use the Great Sharist platform that I highly recommend. But I find I do better with the indie programs, because like Coupon Pal is going to work with all the big networks, but all of the big affiliates are going to use the big networks. If you can find a small merchant that has an individual program, you could probably rank number 1, number 2 for them in Google, because you don't have the competition. Because do you see that at Coupon Pal? Do you want to work with individual?
Well, I think it's about someone, you know, who's a niche affiliate, like just being a little bit hungrier to find, you know, a merchant to work with. You know, we work with, you know, as a general coupon site, we work with dozens of merchants in all 3 of the major networks, or I guess all 4 of the major networks. And so, you know, we get approached a lot, and we'll throw any, you know, deal on the page that looks good. And we have a few, you know, categories that we kind of focus on, and a few merchants that we, you know, invest a lot more time in. But we simply can't chase the opportunities the same way that Kim mentioned. And we might not be aware of them. You know, maybe we're working with a program manager who isn't familiar with one of these programs that, you know, is offline or not in their network. So, yeah, I think that's a good point you make.
Yeah, and even the small affiliates, they can venture into other traffic sources like Pinterest and Instagram and find ways to use that. I mean, Kim mentioned Sharist. It's a new platform that is, it's up now and it's getting better and better. But there's platforms like that and traffic sources and tools like that that small affiliates can use, where the larger affiliates, they aren't going to bother with those as much.
So let's talk about whether or not you can still make a living as a small affiliate. My general thought on this is that yes, you can, but I think you need to reset your expectations. When we all started out, I think that, again, it was much easier to get a site ranking. There was, you didn't have to develop as much content, and so therefore it was more affordable in terms of both time and money to get a site launched. So you can still succeed, but you need to be able to wait it out for maybe months or possibly even years before you're able to meet all of your financial goals. And we'll talk more about how to prepare for that in the upcoming slides. But you really need to plan for long-term success. Don't think about launching an affiliate site. Think about launching a brand. Think about how you can be the top 1 or 2 sites in your category. And if you can't be the number 1 or 2 site in your category, you should maybe evaluate, is this something I should really get into? You have to have that kind of passion and that kind of dedication, that kind of focus if you really want to succeed.
Yeah, you want to make I tell people, if you're don't make a website just because you want to make money off of it. You either have to be compassionate about it, like a hobby, or solve somebody's need. They want to, what do people search into Google that they're looking for help with? How to fix something, write a tutorial how to fix something. And
so what would you say would be a realistic expectation?
So I think the biggest thing is to do a little bit of work every single day. It's about the habit of doing work on your site. So, actually Jane Grow recently posted something about, like, how do you get good at writing content? Well, you write content, and you write it every single day. And that's how you're going to become proficient at it. So if you can make a little bit of progress with your site every day, whether it's posting an article, reaching out to someone for a link, or trying to get some social promotion, that's the most important thing. If you do that, you'll find that the cumulative effect of all that work in probably 3 to 6 months will start paying off. You'll start to see some organic traffic trickling in. Do you expect to see traffic the first month that you launch the site? Maybe, if you know what you're doing. I know plenty of people who do, but I found that it can take several months to get reasonable, organic traffic to your site. If you're doing paid search, obviously that's instantaneous. But if you're trying to build, more organic traffic and diversify your traffic sources, you're looking at months. And I think that the thing that you really need to do is you just need to be very cautious and ask yourself before you quit your job, is my site Google proof? If Google were to update the algorithm tomorrow, what would happen to my site? What would happen to my revenue? Do I have enough in savings to bridge the gap while I figure things out? And so it's more about kind of like planning than putting a particular time limit on yourself. Don't think, oh, I have to quit my job in 6 months or I'm a failure. Just make a little bit of progress on the site every single day. Be very cautious. Understand that any one traffic source can disappear overnight. Any one merchant can disappear overnight. Any one relationship can disappear overnight. And make sure that you've diversified. And once you feel that you've done that, then I think it's safe to consider that. So if you're a veteran affiliate and you found yourself in a rut and you've found yourself maybe struggling to compete with some of the bigger sites or just more sites in the index, we have some tips for you that can help you succeed. And Joe had some great tips here, so I'll let you kind of take over. And
sure. I mean, like Kim and I have done. We were affiliates, and now we're kind of moving into more consulting and affiliate management and other things like that. There's merchants out there that need your help. If you've been an affiliate for any number of years, you probably know more than they do about affiliate marketing. So reach out to some merchants and offer them your services. Do some consulting work for them. Talk to some OPMs. If nothing else, it can be somewhat of a steady paycheck while you're doing the other, getting your affiliate sites going as well.
And I want to piggyback off your point. I think that in the past, people didn't really focus that much on relationships, and I'm starting to find more and more that relationships are built offline. I have, several dozens of relationships online with merchants, and maybe we do conference calls or we, talk through email or whatever, but I found that the most valuable relationships I have are offline, where like I can text the merchant, or they can reach me off hours and we can work together. This conference, this is a huge opportunity for you guys, like to build links, to build relationships that you probably don't see where that relationship is going right now, but maybe 3 months from now, it is a guest post opportunity on their site. It's a link from one of their sites. One thing that I've been doing is I also have still just a very small niche portfolio of sites that I tend to work on a little bit, is I get involved in my local community. So like, for example, I'm involved in my local cycling community, and part of that is because I'm passionate about it and I love it, but also by participating in the local cycling community, I've been able to get some links from some very credible organizations in the Austin cycling community, and those I couldn't do if I didn't actually get involved offline. So consider how like going to maybe like meetups.com might benefit your business. You might not see, again, the immediate benefit of going to meetup.com and going to these networking events, but over time, I promise you, they're going to add up. It's going to add up to links. It's going to add up to opportunities that you wouldn't have otherwise.
I apologize for my coughing, but I've done a lot of work. I do consulting for some larger affiliates myself, and they like the fact that I know what the networks are, and they don't have to train me to do that. So I work for a larger affiliate. I also do some consulting for some tools, and then I also am doing, I'm working with eAccountable. We are doing performance-based social media, which is, they like the fact that I'm an affiliate. I know what the affiliates want. I'm moving around here. Do we have any network reps in here, though? Good, because I was going to say, at all aspects, I don't care to work with the network reps, because I found that the local OPMs, and I don't know if this is true in your case, but I find a lot of OPMs are commission-based. And so they only succeed when the affiliates succeed. So I find that those OPMs are more helpful on the affiliate side and the merchant side. And so I would rather work with you, per se, than with the network. An outsourced program manager?
So what they would do is they would manage a portfolio of merchant accounts. So instead of having maybe a relationship directly with the affiliate network, this third-party consulting company would manage a portfolio of relationships, and they might work in all the different networks. Let's talk a little bit about advice for new affiliates. This is something that I'm really passionate about. I've done a lot of training over the years about helping new affiliates launch sites. And I think the thing that kept coming back to me is that you really just got to focus on building a brand. Stop calling your site an affiliate site, because an affiliate is just a monetization strategy, right? It's just a source of revenue for your traffic. So think about how you can build a brand. Remember that you're in this for the long haul, so build long-term relationships with all of the networks that you work with all the merchants that you work with, and do the small things like send them handwritten cards, or do things kind of outside of the relationship that are going to cultivate and nurture that relationship. Don't focus too much on trends. Don't worry about Google Panda and Google Penguin. I mean, it's important to understand some of the nuances of these changes and what kind of an impact that might have on your site. But if you're constantly worried about how this algorithm affected how this page ranks, and you're trying to decode the algorithm, and so you make all these little changes to your site, and again, you're optimizing for the search engine, who's not going to buy from you. People are going to buy from you. So you have to remember that don't chase the algorithm and don't fuss over every little change that they make. Just know that Google, like if you read Google Webmaster Guidelines, I used to really get sick of this whenever they would refer you to Google Webmaster Guidelines about like what works, how do you optimize a site for SEO. But the thing that I got, the more I read it and became familiar with it, is that it's just an overlying theme of quality. Like this is what we consider a quality site, right? They're not telling you, put an H1 tag here and an alt tag here and do all these things and this is how you're going to rank. They focus on just building a quality experience for your users. And so that's something that I would encourage you to do. while you're launching your affiliate business, keep working. And I think Joe and Kim mentioned something, and something that I've been able to experience at Coupon Pal is I've been able to like touch business that I had never done before. So I've done a little bit of display advertising as a solo affiliate, but with Coupon Pal I've been able to do a lot of display advertising, and I've learned new things, a new skill set that I wouldn't have otherwise. And like Joe and Kim had mentioned, they've been able to see both sides of both the affiliate and the merchant side, so they get a different perspective. They learn about tools maybe that they wouldn't have found out about otherwise, and strategies, and they can kind of see what's working, what's not. While you're launching your business, and even if you have launched your business for a while, just remember that cash is king. And we talked about like some of these tools and how costs can add up really quickly. Just remember that you can't starve yourself when you're launching your business. You have to make sure that you've saved up enough to meet your monthly obligations, and that you've kind of forecasted out what happens again if the traffic drops off. So just make sure that you've put a nest egg away before you start. When I talk about creating a Google contingency plan, the thing that I'm focusing on there is like, okay, again, you always need to be asking yourself this question: what happens if Google turns off their traffic tomorrow? And like I used to just get like emotional about it whenever Google would make an algorithm update, and my site fell. I'm like so pissed off at Google, and I really had this kind of like narrow-minded view about the whole thing, that like Google had somehow singled out my site. And after I let the dust settle, I realized, okay, this is the problem that they had. This is the problem with the quality that they had. And so make sure that you build other sources of traffic. And then the other thing that you really need to know.
Can I say something?
Yeah, go ahead.
I think even as far as like a Google contingency plan, it needs to be like even a merchant contingency plan. Absolutely. So if a merchant goes out of business, I was just talking to somebody earlier who was making a 20% commission and doing very well with their site, and then the merchant dropped it down to 2%. So that pretty much shuts down their revenue there. And those things happen all the time. Merchants go away. Merchants can change their policies. Maybe you were doing paid search and the merchant decides they don't want to allow paid search anymore. If any one piece of your business were to go away, you need to make sure it still survives, whether it's Google traffic, whether it's a merchant, whether it's a site platform or a tool. You need to have enough pieces in place where if you take one out, you're still stable. You still have enough revenue and traffic coming in.
I mean, just like you might create a business plan, think about a business continuity plan. What happens when this merchant goes away? Do I survive? Is there another way for me to monetize the site, maybe with some display ads or maybe AdSense? And so I like that, Joe. That's a good point you bring up. The other thing that I also wanted to mention too is like, you guys are all obviously here because you want to launch an affiliate business, or you currently have one and you want to learn how to make that business better. But I think that there's a lot of people who get confused about like what it's really like to own your own business. It's not as glamorous and it's not as fun as you might think. Like everyone can envision the guy with his feet kicked up. He's got the laptop and he's on a beach, and he's got like total freedom. But there's a lot of days and weeks and maybe even months that it's hell. It's pure hell to own a business, right? And not only that, but you have to consider all the other things that you have to do for your business, the bookkeeping, and just all the, especially if you're a one-man shop, all the little aspects of what it takes to launch a successful site. So really ask yourself, is this something I want to do full-time, or is it something that I'm really passionate about a particular topic, and just focus on building a site part-time and just enjoying it rather than making it your business that is your livelihood? Because once it's your livelihood, I'll tell you, it's a lot less fun. When Google updates their algorithm, or it's not as much fun. So if you really are just in it because it's your passion, maybe just continue working at a day job or doing consulting or doing some other things and just keep this going, and it can be a nice source of income for you.
Mm-hmm. Another thing I think is important is even just to have a plan. Don't just pick a site and start building it. Before you even register your domain, which, I mean, I have dozens and dozens of domains just sitting there. I know Todd does too. I mean, most people that have been around for a while, I mean, you just register domains on a whim every now and then. But have a plan before you even get to that far. I mean, come up with 50 ideas for pieces of content, whether it's a blog post or even YouTube videos that you can embed in your post and comment on. But come up with 50 different content ideas before you even start, and get 20, 25 of them built out to have ready to go as you're launching. So you don't have to, I mean, if you need to take a few days off, you still have some in the hopper you can go with. do the research on the merchants beforehand. Find out, are they just a new merchant that you don't know if they're going to be around? Are they ones that have been around for a while? And this is a lot where relationships come into play, because you can ask other people, ask your friends, hey, have you ever worked with this merchant? Is there anything I need to know? If you have good relationships with your OPMs and your affiliate managers, tell them your plan, tell them what you want to do, and they can give you good feedback. They can give you good advice on, well, I've seen people try that and it really hasn't worked, or no, that's a great way to go. I like your plan. You can get a lot of advice and a lot of helpful information from your affiliate managers. So be in communication with them. Don't be afraid to send an email. Don't be afraid to call. I know I want to hear from small affiliates all the time. The more I can spend, I'd rather spend time emailing with them and talking to them than doing anything else that I do as a manager.
And those small affiliates eventually become your big affiliates if,
Yeah.
if you've worked with them.
Yep.
Well, I found the best relationships are just going to the conferences like this and doing the networking and hanging out. And I mean, I'm sure a lot of us have sat around over drinks and registered domain names while we're sitting there coming up with ideas and helping each other out.
So I think you guys are really well positioned to talk about how merchants can help these new affiliates and these niche affiliates out, help them thrive and build their program so it's a little bit more diverse.
Like I said, communication is important. I have ideas that I see all the time as I'm looking at merchants. I see niches that aren't being tapped, but I mean, since I'm running the programs, I can't really do those for my own affiliate sites. So I mean, most affiliate managers, they have ideas like that, and they don't have anybody to give them to because they aren't hearing from the affiliates. So from a merchant side of things, they have a lot of information that in some ways they can't use that affiliates need to use.
I would say, you know, something, again, just talking about providing education and resources, you know, very few merchant programs have like a portal where their affiliates can go and actually learn about the specifics of their program. So talk about a competitive advantage. If you guys can take the time to build out, you know, like a few dozen pages that talks about your best-selling products, that talks about best practices in search or any rules and restrictions that you guys have, and maybe create even some general videos and compile some resources. It's like, okay, do you want to learn search? Well, here's a link to SEO Moz. Do you want to learn paid search? Here's a link to this site. And provide those resources to your affiliates, and I guarantee that, like I said, those small affiliates will soon become your big affiliates.
Mm-hmm. And even like some of my merchants, they sell yoga gear. There's thousands of yoga studios out there that have websites. It would be, if they were to put some affiliate links on their site, they could add a couple $100, maybe $500,000 revenue as they tell their clients, hey, if you need a yoga mat, go here. So as a merchant, if you could come up with even a 20-page little quick ebook on, I mean, because most of the yoga studios and stuff, they won't know anything about affiliate marketing. They won't know much about websites. Just a step-by-step, here's how you add an affiliate link to your site, and walk them through, have screenshots. The more tools like that merchants can provide, the more these small affiliates will help them out.
Call it a partner program instead of an affiliate program.
Yeah.
I think they know it better. And a lot of merchants, they're banking on just like one big affiliate, like maybe Retail Me Not is their biggest affiliate, so that's who they're catering to. But Retail Me Not, they could get mad at the merchant for no reason and just drop them, or decide they're going to get a higher payout from somebody else, and then poof, that commission.
Or they might lose their search ranking. I mean,
Right.
it's not likely, but it can happen, right?
Yeah.
So they need to cater to the other affiliates as well.
Yeah, so the merchants need to diversify as well, and not just put all their eggs in 2 or 3 baskets.
Well, so we left some time open for Q&A. You guys can ask any questions that you want about the session, or any general questions about, you know, getting started. Happy to answer those, and I think we can go for probably 5-10 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Any practical tips for some paid traffic to small data sites?
Yeah, I think the best thing that you can do is build out the site before you launch your paid search campaign. In the past, Google would let you get away with launching just a landing page. And so you could have a very thin, very light site with just, you know, 1 or 2 pages of content, and that would meet the requirement for advertising on Google. Since then, they basically make you build out a more robust site and have real content on the site, and it has to, you know, have like a privacy policy. It has to have all of these, you know, kind of supporting pages in order for Google to really consider a high quality site. So launch the site like you would in organic search, with the idea that that's only going to help your paid search campaign. It's only going to help your quality scores. We found, because we actually run kind of a small network of sites, we found that like our primary site that has the most traffic and that has the best quality scores has the most content. So the things that help you in organic also help your paid search campaign.
I didn't mean AdWords, I meant like traffic sources for paid traffic.
Oh, like what are some paid traffic sources?
Yeah, what would you suggest for us?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Google Hits affiliates.
You know, I used to think that too about paid search, but I've seen people, it seems like they've kind of changed their policy about paid search affiliates. I've seen a lot more paid search affiliates and not only the coupon space, but in reviews, review keywords and more general keywords. I mean, for paid search traffic, Google is the best, Bing is good, it just doesn't have as much traffic. And that's where we generate like 99% of our search traffic. There's niche engines, but the volume that we do with them is so insignificant that I wouldn't focus on them.
I would recommend Facebook ads for traffic.
And there's even blog networks like, I'm drawing a blank, like Glam Media and like Yardbarker for sports. I mean, there's a lot of other big networks that have dozens and hundreds of blogs that they work with, so that would be another way to go. That's kind of getting more into display advertising than just standard paid search. But Glam Media, I think you do some work with
I'm an
them?
affiliate I'm a partner of Glam Media, yeah, so I run their ads. I don't do any advertising with them.
Yeah, I think they're kind of more like focused on
More
women's
style
sites,
websites, yeah.
things like that. For sports, there's SB Nation and Yardbarker and other blog conglomerates like that. That could be places to look.
On a related topic, as I'm thinking about starting my first AdWords campaign, I think I have a decent site built out with a lot of content. What I'm struggling with is if I'm just sending people to the site, how do I really, I've got an email opt-in. Do you recommend like a really large call to action email with a free offer? What's the best way to get that search traffic to convert?
I would say the first thing is limit the choices that you give the customer when they arrive on your site. So I think people have a tendency to provide people multiple options because they think they want choice, but in reality people don't want choice. They want to be told what to do when they come to your website, and it has to be that obvious. I've got to the point on certain landing pages that it's just a single form and there's like no other content on the page. It just says sign up here and has like maybe a brief paragraph and just the form elements and like no other elements on the page. So I might strip out like the header of the site, I might strip out the footer of the site or any other navigation elements just to make sure that people don't get distracted and click around on the site when we want them to go down a specific funnel.
Google allow that if you strip all that out? That's what I'm kind of confused about is what is Google allowing to send from?
Yeah, so this is a good question that you're asking. They do allow it as long as you have like a robust site to support it. If it's just that page, then Google tends to call it a bridge page, and you probably will have some quality score issues. So just make sure that you have a supporting site behind it, and even if you do optimize the landing page and focus, put them down a specific funnel, you can still succeed with that.
Yeah, I tried to launch my first campaign and I got called up on the bridge page.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that
You can't try to capture their email address right away. You'll get kicked out for
How
that.
do you convert the traffic if you're not capturing their email address?
well, you can, I believe, collect their
Catch 22. I don't want to pay for traffic and then just have them wander around on my site and like
right.
capture their information or get them to take some action and eventually convert.
To your point, Kim, I think that Google was more concerned about when somebody promises like a free download and there's no free download. It's like you got to sign up for a trial or you got to go through these forms before you can get it. So it's kind of matching the ad's expectation with what's actually delivered on the page itself. They are still okay with lead forms and things like that. But to answer your question, do you have a site that you feel would do well organically? Like, do you feel like it's a robust site?
Yeah, it's starting with the traffic picking up.
Yeah.
2 months old, but yeah.
And you're still having problems with, it's kind of hard to diagnose.
I'm going to try to get that was kind of maybe too early to do that, but I'm still, before I start sending paid traffic, I just want to make sure that I've got a landing page optimized. Google is going to be happy with, and it's also going to convert, otherwise, when I spend money.
Right, exactly. Google looks at affiliate sites, through an interesting lens sometimes. Like as a coupon site, you could have nothing more than like the coupon code and maybe the headline of what the coupon is, and that's considered, good quality content. If you do a review site and they don't feel that the review is, maybe a quality review, that you're just doing this to merely redirect traffic to the merchant site, they don't feel that you add a lot of value there. So sometimes Google's interpretation can be very, very hard to understand, but I would recommend don't give up on it. Just redesign the page, relaunch the campaign, and maybe add some more supporting elements, but keep people focused on whatever that goal is. If it's the form, keep that obviously front and center.
I do a lot of contest giveaways, and you can use Rafflecopter, it's a free tool. I actually use the paid version because there's more opportunities in it, but you can then collect their email address and give them points for liking you on Facebook or following you on Twitter, retweeting. I think the pro version, then they can sign up for whatever AWeber, Constant Contact, whoever your mail list provider is. And so if you could have a contest, give something away of value, you could use that then in your Google AdWords, like whatever your site is about, hey, win this. If it's a shoe blog, win free shoes, and then you can collect all that information that way. Rafflecopter? Kind of like helicopter, only it's Rafflecopter.
Hi, I have a couple of questions and I can speak real quick, if that's okay. I'm newer, and one of my questions is, people do product reviews in their YouTube, that's another way to monetize. So, are these people getting it from the merchant knowing that they're going to return it? Like, I'm an online store that's also a branding magazine, so I'm monetizing, or the business plan is monetizing all areas. So how do people because I'm going to have a bunch of products, so how do those people do it? Are they personally buying it and they're returning it?
So this goes back to, again, having good relationships with your merchants. Some merchants will actually give you products to review, and you can do unboxings, and they love it when you post that stuff up on YouTube. Another way that you could do it, if that doesn't work with a particular merchant, is you can buy the product and then review it and then eBay it. And I found that, of course you're going to have a little bit of a loss there, but it's in some cases insignificant and definitely worth being able to get your hands on that product so that you can do a legitimate review.
Okay. Next question is Pinterest, when we're dealing with affiliate marketing. So with Pinterest, is my goal trying to be emotion, that helps the, because it's basically social media, it's advertising, it's getting people to be part of that community to drive traffic back to your site, and that's where they're going to purchase the product. So the products from the affiliate marketers or the companies, they're not my products, so how do I label that correctly?
I think that if you want to get some traction with Pinterest, you have to do something interesting with those products. You have to, put those products in interesting pictures. They can be funny, they can be captivating, they can be controversial. But if you're just thinking, okay, I'll take the product catalog and throw those images up on Pinterest.
Because I'm not going to use, I'm thinking, I don't want to use Pinterest. And everybody says, oh, you're going to use Pinterest, go to use Pinterest. But I don't, that might not work for me.
Right. It really depends on who your audience is. Obviously, Pinterest really appeals to women between 25 and 45, and certain product categories do better for that reason. But yeah, I would say if you're going to do anything on Pinterest, like make a meme out of something with a product, do something funny, do something creative, and don't just focus. Don't publish stock photos on Pinterest because that won't work.
I do a lot on Pinterest, and videos right now are huge on Pinterest as well. And I don't know if anybody uses Fiverr. It's Fiverr, where you can buy anything for $5. And if you type in video reviews, I have bought some of the greatest video reviews for $5. I mean, you can give them a script or even bullet points, and upload those to your site, and then pin it. And we'll upload it to YouTube as well, or you can pin it from YouTube. And I've gotten a lot of traction that way.
And then quickly on linking, I understand linking and all of that, but if I'm following other people in different categories that I truly generally like, and then there's always that option
One of the things that I've done is I've split up Pinterest accounts to where like I have a personal one and you know, some for niche sites and niche businesses. And I think that that helps you you know, kind of find that group that you want to network with on Pinterest, because you know, you might have lots of general interests and you know, maybe you follow dozens of different categories or something on Pinterest, but you find it's kind of hard to get a following because people don't understand, like, well, what's your theme on Pinterest? Like, why are you particularly interesting? You might have a particular pin board that's very popular, but let's say that you know, you have a product site. You know, why not launch a Pinterest account just for that particular product line or
I wasn't meaning Pinterest. I mean, like following up bloggers that are all, you know, that do different things, and I genuinely follow them because I think they're awesome. So I should not put, because my site is completely different than mine theirs. I should probably put my email. So no, not my email, my website.
You mean for like leaving a comment on a blog?
Yeah.
I think that's totally fine to do that.
Because that probably came from the last session, right? With the
Yeah.
Did you mind if I just
Yeah, please.
clarify what the question is? So one of the comments that we made in the last session about SEO and post-keyword updates was people were using a keyword phrase and backlinking that keyword phrase
Oh.
to a site on a non-related post and things like that, which are to get penalized in post-keyword updates. So absolutely it's okay to post on things that are not related to you, but the point was to not use a non-related keyword backlinking.
Yeah, use your real name, obviously.
Commenting on non-related posts related to your business, totally okay. Just don't backlink a keyword that's not related to the subject matter of it.
And then
Agree.
last question, how dangerous is it? There are some merchants I want to use that aren't with the affiliate programs, so how dangerous or not dangerous is it if you wanted to try to set up your own relationship?
I would say go for it. I mean, they might not be able to track as good as through a network. When I first started, it was before, the first merchant I worked with, I sold Disney World tickets. And it was just a little fruit stand down in Orlando. And they basically set up a private tracking platform that I was able to use. I mean, it wasn't perfect, and I'm sure there's a lot of sales that were lost in there. There's different ways to tag things, even with Google Analytics. They can tag it and see it's coming from your site, and they could probably come pretty close to tracking it properly. So, I mean, there's ways to do it. I mean, I would probably shy away from it overall. It depends on the merchant, too. I mean, it depends on your relationship with them. If it's somebody you trust and somebody you know and somebody you've worked with in the past, I would say go for it. If it's just a random merchant that you find their products and you like, I'd be a little bit hesitant. You can, I mean, encourage them to set up an affiliate program, too. That's another way to go.
I think we have time for one more question, so.
Do you have tips on kicking down the door and getting a merchant to work with you? That's really work with you.
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I've had this happen to me, you know, several times in various affiliate networks and even some direct relationships. I think that what you have to do is you have to kind of approach it, you know, maybe more offline. Don't just apply to their program and keep applying for their program. You know, if you get declined once, you know, send an email to them, right? And just show them what you're going to do. Show them your plan. I think a lot of merchants turn down affiliates because they don't understand the plan, right? Maybe they go to their site and the site's not finished, or it's incomplete, or they don't see how it ties into the product or something like that. So make sure that you explain to them in very clear terms, you know, what value you're going to add. The other thing that I do, if that doesn't, you know, because there are affiliate programs that just have like people asleep at the wheel that maybe don't even respond to email or check those emails or whatever, at that point I would take it a step further and even reach out to the network themselves and say, hey, I'm really interested in working with this client. Can you have your account manager, you know, who manages that program, reach out to them and let them know. And you know, if all else fails, it's kind of interesting because you guys
buy him a drink. Yeah.
buy them a drink, right? Or send them a letter in the mail, right? Like it's easy to ignore emails. Maybe they're not getting your emails or whatever, but send them something in the mail and just let them know, hey, I'm really excited to work with you. And you know, coming to events like this obviously makes the whole thing a lot easier too.
And ask them. Just say, I know you won't accept me into your program. Can you tell me why? What do I need to do so that I can get in your program? And sometimes they'll say, well, you need to do this, 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 and this. Okay.
Take that one more quick one.
Okay, sure, we'll do it, yeah.
Yeah, so far all the seminars everybody's been talking about how, you know, how all these new building, even it's completely vertical. I'm like a builder, you know, that's what I do. So it still totally works. You just have to know, you
Yeah, I mean, I think there's probably an SEO session here that will probably talk more about that in depth, but I agree with you. I mean, link building is as effective, if not more effective, than it's ever been. It's just about quality link building. People used to focus on numbers in the past, and now I think people would rather have fewer links from high quality sites than hundreds or thousands of links from lower quality sites. And so I just think the way that you go about link building has changed quite a bit to focus on those higher value relationships. And so for me, link building now means maybe having a cup of coffee with someone. I know that sounds crazy, but I've done it before. Sometimes it's just emailing them back and forth and complimenting them or whatever. So link building should never be kind of like this robotic, automated, because if the links are easy to get, then the value that they bring your site will evaporate quickly. The links that are hard to get, those are the links that are going to elevate you above everyone else for the long term.
If Will Reynolds is doing a session, I would highly recommend you go see him, but I don't know if he is this time, but Sugar Ray is also doing one about SEO, and they usually talk
Yeah, I
about
think there
link
might even
building.
be a workshop or kind of a Q&A where you could ask more specific questions about it.
I think we're out of time.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Well, thanks
we're out
for
of
attending,
time.
everyone. Appreciate it.
Thank
Enjoy
you.
the rest of Affiliate Summit.
Thank you.